Annalisa Six here from the Lady of Leisure and the Sober Curator to bring you your 2023 February horoscope for the sign of Libra, Sun and Rising. Hello, I am saying that thing over and over and over again. By the time I get to the later signs, it just starts to feel more and more like a tongue twister, but let's jump right in. Libra. So this month for you is an interesting month. There's quite a lot of different energy happening. We start out the month of February with Mercury in the sign of Capricorn, no longer in the shadow period, no longer retrograde. And in the area of the Libra chart for the horoscope that has to do with your home and your family. And so I think I remember talking about this last month because the retrograde was happening here. There's probably more themes around having to communicate your needs or advocate for yourself in certain ways with your home and family members and people that you live with, things like that. It's also a time where you might be feeling like you want to beautify or change something about your home. And you might have started that process in January, whether it was a good time to start it or not. It was funny. One of my close friends who is Libra rising did start construction on her home during the Mercury retrograde. And I was so worried for her, but I think it's been going okay. I haven't heard any updates, but now that we're out of the shadow, if there was any hiccups during any of those types of home projects, now that, we're moving through those last few degrees of February, I'm sorry, of Capricorn, not the last few degrees of February, the last few degrees of Capricorn at the beginning of February, hopefully there'll be some momentum. So if there were any hiccups in relation to your home situation, whether you were moving, renovating, living with people, moving in with people, not moving in with people, February, things like that should start to clear up and build momentum more. By February 11th, we will be moving into Aquarius season for Mercury. I'm totally butchering this. I'm obviously tired right now and probably need to take a break and finish the rest of these videos tomorrow. I'm going to get through Libra though, I promise. Mercury enters Aquarius on the 11th and enters the area of your horoscope chart that has to do with self-expression. And so Libra is a very artistic energy, artistic sign, and the area of the chart where Mercury is entering for the rest of February is a great time for you to work on building confidence around how you share that art or that creativity with others, but not necessarily with others, more so as just doing it for yourself and enjoying doing it for yourself. It's also a really great place to cultivate joy and playfulness, which Libra really enjoys, but sometimes Libra, I've noticed, can take itself too seriously and have a hard time. Libra enjoys being intellectually superior at times and sometimes can have a hard time lightening up in certain contexts. I think that Libra definitely knows how to party and knows how to have a good time, but there's occasionally this need to be superior or know more or express that they know more. And I relate a lot to that as a Sag rising because Sagittarius shares a lot of those qualities too. But excuse my dogs for barking. But with Mercury moving into Aquarius, this is an opportunity for you to work on not taking things so seriously and being okay and open to just having fun and being playful and not needing things to always feel like they have to be intellectually in some kind of school of thought in order to be valid, if that makes sense. So this is a really good time for creativity for you in that way. Moving to Venus, Venus is going to be in Pisces for the first half of February, and then she moves into Aries on the 20th. And where this is influencing the Libra individual is more to do for the first part of the month, so basically up through the 19th with Venus in Pisces, you're having kind of this nice period of really getting to focus on yourself when it comes to your health and also maybe being more creative with the way that you structure your life. And so the area that Venus is hitting the chart has to do with your daily routines, your health, and how you're moving through that without too much rigidity, I guess would be what I would say. It's a good time for you to practice different modalities of healing, spiritual modalities. It's a good time for meditation. It's a good time for personal reflection when it comes to the way that you move through your life on a day-to-day basis. And self-care is a really great way to do that in whatever way means to you. And Pisces being the water element, I automatically, as a Pisces moon, self-care usually involves water in some way for me. And while that might not be true for every Libra individual, it might feel true for you while Venus is in Pisces moving through this area. And Venus in this area of the chart promotes good health. It's actually a really good placement for that. So if you've been struggling with your health, this might be a time where you start to get answers, or you start to feel like you have more confidence or motivation to implement good health care kind of routines. That kind of stuff is really positive for you. When Venus enters Aries, that's the opposite of Libra. And so there's an opposition happening with Venus in Aries to a Libra individual. And this is going to be impacting the area of the Libra horoscope that has to do with relationships, our personal relationships. And so, while it's going to enhance your personal relationships, like romantic partners, best friends, business partnerships, and bring some romantic energy, good connection, love in there, it can also feel a little hard for a Libra because it's the opposite of what you are and who you are. And so Aries is a lot more confrontational. Aries is a lot more assertive than Libra. Libra tends to be more passive or avoidant. And so with Venus entering this area, if there's things that you've been avoiding talking about in your relationship, or areas that you feel are going to need to be confronted, you're supported in that with Venus and doing it in constructive and harmonious ways. Venus is considered to be in its fall in the sign of Aries. And so this is an area, or detriment, I believe. And so this is an area that is not totally comfortable for Aries, and definitely not comfortable. Like, it's not comfortable for Venus to be an Aries. For an Aries individual, it's probably just fine. But for a Libra individual, it does feel counterintuitive to how you're wired. And so there can be some level of discomfort there, because if you're always thinking about others, or kind of more of this codependent kind of thing. Venus in Aries is very independent and more self-oriented, but it's still hitting your chart in the area that's together. So it's integration of how do I work with somebody but still remain autonomous? How do I not create super autonomy or too much codependence? Like, how do I find that balance? And Libra loves balance and fairness, but I know a lot of Libra people that, while Libra, the sign, represents a lot of that stuff, the individual chart, lends itself to different things. And not every Libra is balanced just because their sign represents balance. And not every Libra is good at relationships just because their sign represents relationships. And not every Libra is good at harmony just because Venus is their dominant planet, right? And so when Venus is in Aries and in this uncomfortable placement for Libra, it does offer Libra to learn how to integrate the polarity of Aries that Libra often sometimes has a hard time with and lacks. And so that's a positive thing for Venus if you're able to look at it as integration and not a threat. Mars is moving through 10 degrees to 18 degrees of Gemini for the month of February. And where this has been affecting the Libra individual does have to do with your spiritual beliefs and your higher education and learning and the way that you see the world culturally. And so during the retrograde cycle, you might have been questioning a lot of your personal beliefs and whether or not you felt like you still believed things that you previously in the past had felt pretty confident in. And now that Mars is direct and moving through the rest of Gemini over the next month and a half, you might feel like you're experiencing some release and some clarity with that. So this is a time where you might start to feel kind of like this release or refresh on what direction you feel more confident moving towards. You might still be thinking about it. You might not feel totally clear yet, but this is a good time for you to kind of be asking those questions. Am I in alignment? Does this feel congruent with what I, want to do moving forward? You might also feel inspired to travel right now and get a change of scenery during this time. Also getting other people's perspectives on things with Venus in Aries and Mars in Gemini at the end of the month, and Jupiter in Aries, where Jupiter is hitting for you too. It's really good for you to learn from other people right now and to heed their advice and wisdom, people that you trust. you want to be mindful always, have discernment, make sure that you don't go into stuff blindly, don't, give people benefit of the doubt. But with Jupiter in Aries, Venus entering Aries at the end of the month, Mars and Gemini in the place that it's hitting for the Libra horoscope, you need humility right now. You need to humble yourself, you need humility, and you need to kind of be open to other perspectives and hearing what other people have to say. I think that Libra is really good at that when Libra wants to be. But again, when Libra is feeling intellectually superior and kind of more in this headspace of, I know what I know. And, the older we get, the more rigid we can become like that, which, is based on experience and wisdom. It's not to decredit the wisdom that you have with the years of experience that you have in life, but we're always learning, right? And so this is really important time for the Libra individual to be open to learning and open to getting different perspectives. And I think that if you're questioning your beliefs right now, whether or not the things that you found solace in, you still feel solace in, it doesn't need to be a huge gut-wrenching thing, which oftentimes it can be. If we are changing our religion or we're changing a belief system, it can be a gut-wrenching process because it makes us question everything that we thought we knew. But that's also growth, and it's also important to do that. And so if you're going through that over the month of February, it should be positive. The astrology supports it in a positive way, but if you're resistant towards it, if you're holding on to the past too much, then you're going to feel that tension and that frustration with the opposition. And so my advice to the Libra is to just have some humility and get some advice from people that you trust and that you respect, and heed the wisdom, take what you need, leave what you don't need, and be open to these other perspectives. I think that the Mars retrograde probably already cracked you open in that way. So you're probably more open to that in the month of February. I'm guessing based off of the way the astrology plays out. So getting into our full and new moon for the month, we have a full moon on the 5th of February at 16 degrees of Leo. And this should be pretty pleasurable for the Libra individual. Libra and Leo do really well as signs together. It's a very harmonious energy. They make a sextile to each other. So where this is hitting in the Libra individual chart has a lot to do with your career and also the way that you're engaging in social activities. And so, this is a really good time to put yourself out there and to just, if you're, we manifest during a full moon. So if there's certain ways that you want to elevate yourself in your career, your public image, or in your community, this is a really good time for you to set those intentions around that and to kind of take action around those things. We have a new moon the day after we enter Pisces season. So we enter Pisces on the 19th of February, and then we have a new moon on the 20th at 1 degree Pisces, around the same time that Venus enters Aries. And this energy, I just love Pisces energy so much. It's so good for manifestation. It's so good for connecting to ourselves in a deeper way spiritually. And again, this is the area of the chart for you that has to do with your daily routines and your health. And so you're really supported this month and during this new moon to find spiritual modalities that support good health, that are in alignment with what you're healing under the surface, like any kind of trauma or somatic healing that you're doing, and finding kind of these other out of the box ways to navigate that. And that might be part of the journey too, that I was talking about earlier with changing your belief system. Like maybe there's things in the past that really worked for you that aren't working anymore, or maybe there's things that you were really closed-minded to that now you're realizing you're having some different thoughts about, you're changing your mind, and you're ready to try them. I know a lot of people that were really, really judgmental and anti-yoga, or just thought yoga was weird and didn't get it. And then over years of it becoming more popular in modern culture, they just decided to try it and then became totally into it. I know people who had a lot of those judgments with their own spiritual practice, like not believing in God or astrology, thinking astrology was stupid, and then having these awakenings, essentially a spiritual awakening, and being more open-minded towards different ideas and possibilities in terms of the spiritual. And Venus in Pisces lends itself to that. And so that new moon in Pisces, where it's hitting in the chart for Libra, allows you to play around with some different modalities. Again, trust discernment, use discernment, try not to be gullible. I do feel like Libras have a tendency to be a little bit gullible sometimes. And so, I'm not telling you not to practice discernment. I'm just saying maybe there's some modalities out there that you are finding yourself drawn to that in the past you never would have done. And maybe this month is about giving yourself permission to do that. Some really good things to do for the Pisces new moon would be meditation, transcendental meditation, and dream journaling, especially for where it is for you. Setting intentions around your daily routine and how you take care of yourself on a regular basis. Your spiritual wellness and spiritual health is also a really big theme for that new moon. So those are really good for you to focus on. That is a pretty good general breakdown, I think, for the Libra horoscope. And I hope that you have a great, easy, smooth, pleasurable month.